My beloved child. Stop scrolling for just a moment. There is a story your heart may have been searching for without even realizing it. Whether you found these words by chance or by quiet curiosity, allow yourself to sit with them for a little while. This is not a prophecy. It is a fictional tale of hope, faith, and the mysterious ways love can transform a life. There are moments when the soul feels as though invisible hands are arranging pieces long before the mind understands the picture. Perhaps you have known that feeling. Perhaps you have stood beneath the night sky wondering why certain people continue to cross your thoughts while others fade like distant echoes. You have questioned timing. You have questioned silence. You have questioned whether every closed door was truly a rejection or simply a redirection. Imagine, for a moment, that heaven were telling a story. Imagine that somewhere, beyond everything you can see, a conversation was unfolding about two hearts that had wandered through seasons of disappointment, heartbreak, unanswered prayers, and unexpected detours. Neither person understood why life kept delaying what they desired most. Neither could see that every setback was quietly shaping the character they would one day need. One heart learned compassion through loss. The other learned patience through waiting. Neither realized they were being prepared for a meeting that would change everything. If someone had whispered the other person's name too early, they would have walked away without recognizing its value. Timing matters. Growth matters. Healing matters. So the story waited. The years unfolded one chapter at a time, carrying each soul through victories they celebrated and tears they hid from everyone around them. There were nights when they believed they had missed their chance at happiness forever. There were mornings when hope felt too heavy to carry. Yet something unseen continued moving. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Almost invisibly. Like the first light before sunrise. And that is where our story truly begins. The story continued in ways neither heart could recognize. Every ordinary day concealed extraordinary preparation. What looked like coincidence was only the meeting point of countless small choices, quiet lessons, and unexpected turns that neither person would fully understand until much later. One continued searching for certainty in places where certainty could never be found. The other wondered why every relationship seemed to arrive carrying beautiful promises but leave behind unanswered questions. Both believed they were simply moving through life. Neither realized that every disappointment was teaching them to recognize a love built on honesty rather than illusion. There are seasons when silence feels heavier than any spoken word. In those seasons people often assume nothing is happening. Yet silence has its own language. It allows wisdom to grow where constant noise never could. It teaches patience that cannot be learned through comfort alone. Imagine two travelers walking toward the same destination from opposite directions. Mountains separate them. Rivers slow them. Storms force them to seek shelter. Looking only at the present, each believes they are moving farther away from everything they have ever hoped for. Yet from a higher view, every step still leads toward the same meeting place. Neither traveler can see the entire path. Neither knows the other exists. Still, every sunrise quietly brings them closer. There are moments when the heart longs for immediate answers. It wants every mystery solved before the next step is taken. But some answers lose their beauty if they arrive before the soul is ready to receive them. The greatest gifts often approach quietly. Not with thunder. Not with spectacle, but with peace that slowly replaces fear. That peace begins long before circumstances change. It begins the moment hope returns. Perhaps the greatest surprise is not discovering another person. Perhaps the greatest surprise is discovering the person you have become after surviving everything you once believed would break you. Strength rarely announces itself while it is being formed. It grows unnoticed. One difficult day becomes another. One tear becomes another prayer. One prayer becomes another reason to keep believing. Little by little, the heart becomes capable of carrying blessings that once would have overwhelmed it. And somewhere beyond the horizon of this story, another life is experiencing the very same transformation. They are learning lessons they never asked for. They are healing wounds they rarely speak about. They are letting go of fears that have followed them for years. They do not know your story. You do not know theirs. Yet both journeys continue unfolding with remarkable symmetry. There will come a day when each person looks back and realizes that delays were never empty spaces. They were chapters filled with invisible purpose. Until then, the questions remain. The waiting remains. The hope remains. And somewhere, just beyond what either heart can presently understand, another unexpected chapter is already beginning to unfold, a chapter that neither of them could have imagined, and whose first unmistakable sign is closer than either realizes. No one can truly appreciate the beauty of dawn while standing in the deepest part of the night. In darkness, every minute feels longer than it really is. Every unanswered question echoes louder. Every memory seems sharper. Yet it is often in those quiet hours that the greatest changes begin, unnoticed by the one who has been waiting. The story had reached such a moment. Neither heart could see it. Nothing appeared different on the surface. The same streets were walked. The same routines continued. Familiar conversations came and went. Life seemed ordinary, almost predictable. But beneath the ordinary, everything was slowly shifting. A single unexpected conversation would soon lead to another. A forgotten memory would suddenly return. A chance encounter would leave an impression impossible to ignore. Small moments, insignificant by themselves, would begin connecting like pieces of a puzzle that had been scattered for years. At first, no one would recognize the pattern. That is how meaningful change often arrives. Not all at once. Not with dramatic announcements. But one quiet moment after another until the picture finally becomes clear. The heart often believes it must chase every answer before peace can arrive. Yet lasting peace usually comes first, allowing clarity to follow afterward. The traveler who constantly looks only at the horizon forgets to notice how far they have already come. Look back, not with regret, but with gratitude. Remember every obstacle that once seemed impossible. Remember every season you thought would never end. Remember every disappointment that convinced you hope had disappeared forever. Yet here you are. Still standing. Still capable of believing. Still carrying kindness despite everything that tried to replace it with bitterness. That alone is extraordinary. Many people mistake survival for weakness because they only see the scars. They never realize that every scar tells the story of a battle that did not succeed in destroying the soul. Every difficult season leaves behind hidden strength. Every unanswered prayer teaches a different kind of trust. Every delay develops patience that comfort never could. And because of that unseen growth, the next chapter of this story will not resemble the previous ones. The fears that once controlled every decision are beginning to lose their voice. Old expectations no longer carry the same weight. The future no longer feels as distant as it once did. Even though nothing seems to have changed overnight, something within has become steadier. Hope is returning. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Like the first light spreading across the horizon before anyone notices the sunrise. The remarkable thing about hope is that it rarely asks for permission before entering the heart again. It simply arrives. One encouraging thought. One unexpected smile. One reminder that life has not finished writing its most meaningful chapters. Soon, the ordinary rhythm of daily life will be interrupted by something impossible to overlook. It may appear small at first. A conversation. A familiar place seen differently. A feeling that refuses to fade. A moment that seems ordinary until much later, when its true importance becomes undeniable. That single moment will become the beginning of another story entirely. Yet no one involved will understand its significance immediately. That is the mystery of life's most meaningful encounters. Their importance is often recognized only after they have already changed everything. And as the next chapter quietly approaches, one question remains unanswered, a question that will transform the entire journey once its answer is finally revealed. Every meaningful story reaches a moment when the path ahead seems uncertain, yet something within quietly whispers that turning back is no longer possible. This story had arrived at that very place. The questions had not disappeared. The future had not suddenly become obvious. But something had changed beneath the surface. The heart that once searched desperately for constant reassurance had begun discovering something far more valuable, a quiet confidence that every season, joyful or difficult, had contributed to who it was becoming. Growth rarely announces itself with celebration. Often, it is recognized only when old fears no longer carry the same power they once held. There was a time when every disappointment seemed permanent. Now those same memories had become reminders of resilience. There was a time when every closed door felt like the end. Now those doors appeared as gentle redirections toward paths that could not have been imagined before. Perspective changes everything. The same road looks entirely different once the traveler understands why the journey mattered. Imagine standing before an enormous tapestry. From only a few inches away, the threads appear tangled and confusing. Colors overlap. Patterns seem incomplete. Nothing appears to make sense. But as you slowly step back, every thread begins revealing its purpose. What once looked like chaos becomes breathtaking design. Every dark thread deepens the brightness beside it. Every unexpected turn gives shape to the masterpiece. Life often feels exactly like that. While living through individual moments, it is difficult to understand why certain chapters unfold the way they do. Only later does the larger picture begin revealing itself. This fictional story invites you to imagine that every unexpected delay, every surprising encounter, every lesson learned in silence was quietly weaving together something more meaningful than anyone involved could recognize at the time. Not because every event was easy. Not because every choice was perfect. But because even difficult seasons can become part of a beautiful ending. The remarkable thing about hope is that it does not erase yesterday. Instead, it gives yesterday a new meaning. It transforms regret into wisdom, fear into courage, waiting into preparation, and uncertainty into possibility. Some stories rush toward dramatic endings. This one does not. It understands that lasting change grows slowly. Trust is built one conversation at a time. Understanding grows one lesson at a time. Love, real love, is strengthened not by perfection, but by honesty, patience, forgiveness, and mutual growth. That is why the next chapter cannot simply appear overnight. Every meaningful relationship, every life-changing friendship, every unforgettable meeting begins long before two people recognize its significance. It begins with becoming the kind of person capable of receiving and giving genuine kindness. That quiet preparation continues every single day. Sometimes without applause. Sometimes without immediate results. Yet never without purpose. If this story leaves you with anything, let it be this. Never underestimate what can change because of one decision to remain hopeful. Never assume that today's silence defines tomorrow's possibilities. Never believe that an unfinished chapter is the final page. The most memorable stories rarely reveal their greatest moments at the beginning. They reveal them only after the reader has traveled through uncertainty with the characters. And perhaps that is why this journey still feels unfinished. Not because something is missing, but because the most meaningful pages have yet to be turned. Somewhere just beyond this moment, another chapter is waiting to begin, one that will challenge every assumption, answer questions that have lingered for far too long, and reveal why every step in this fictional journey mattered from the very beginning.